Okay, so we're looking at section 4.8, question number 1. And it says, look at each division equation on the left, estimate each quotient on the right. So let's be reminded that the quotient is the answer. So quotient means the answer. So it's talking about all of these numbers right here. And they're saying, can we then estimate what the answer would be here? And what we talked about in class is that the answer for 234 divided by 13, the digits will be the same because we have here 23.4 divided by 1.3. We have 2, 3, 4, and we have 1, 3. We have 2, 3, 4, and 1, 3. So the answer over here will have a 1 and an 8 in the answer. We just don't know where the decimal will go. So the answer could either be 18, it could be 1.8 if it was smaller, 0.18, we could keep getting smaller. Or it could be bigger. We could be multiplying by 10. It could be 180 or 1800. The question is going to be, by estimating, which one is it going to be closest to? So what we do is we estimate by rounding these numbers here. So 23 is close to 20. 1.3 is close to 1. 20 divided by 1 is 20. Well, that is closest to 18. So for A, the answer would be 18. For B, 13, and we're looking, by the way, for two numbers, one number that would divide easily into the other number. So when you're thinking about what you're going to round, you want to plan that out a little bit. So 7, we know goes into 14, so we can turn our 13 into 14 and have it be divided by 7, which will give us an answer of 2. So if we look at the quotient here, the answer being 19, we know that the answer has to be around 2, so it wouldn't be 19. We would put the decimal here because 1.9 is closest to 2. 0.19 wouldn't be close. 19 wouldn't be close. 190 wouldn't be close, etc. C. So I'm looking at a number 3.4 and 70. So that's a little tricky. Let's see if 3 goes into 6. So I'll turn this into 3, and instead of it being 6, it'll be 60. So 60 divided by 3 is 20. So there we go. I know my answer will be 21 because 21 is close to 20. It wouldn't be 210. It also wouldn't be 2.1. Those are too small and too big. The next one, over here, 4.5 divided by 1.8. Well, let's see. 1.8 is close to 2. 2 goes into 4.5, goes into 6 actually easily. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 is going to be, now I'll put my answer here, 25. Well, 3 is not close to 25, but it is close to 2.5. So then my answer would be 2.5. And finally for E, we have 5.1 and 1.7. 1.7 is also close to 2, and 5.1 is close to 6, so it's the same situation. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so the answer again would be 2.5. Now let's go on to number 2. Choose the correct quotient. So again, quotient means the answer for each division question, and explain how you know. So here's the question, and here are possible quotients. So for 5.95 divided by 3.5, the answer or the quotient could be 17, 1.7, or 0.17. And we're going to estimate again. We're not going to actually mathematically figure this out, which you could. So we're going to use estimation. So we can round 5.95 to 6. And what goes into 6? Well, 3 goes into 6, so we'll round the 3.5 to 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 2 is going to be closest to 1.7. So this is the same as the last question, just switched around a little bit. Going down to B, 3 possible quotients. The question, 195 is close to 200. And again, we're looking for mental math, easy numbers. Some of you are choosing very difficult numbers to divide in your head, which you would have to write down. The idea is to have to choose numbers here where you don't have to write anything down. So 10 goes easily into 200. And 10 isn't too far off from 6. So that would be equal to 20. Well, 20 is clearly closest to 31.5. And so that would be your answer. C. 31 and 1.8. So let's turn that into 30. And divided by 2, we can figure out is 15. So our answer is going to be 17.4. And finally, D. 1.44 and 0.12. That's a little bit tricky, so we'll turn that into 1 divided by 0.1. And how many times does 0.1 go into 1? It goes in 10 times. And so the answer is going to be 12 here. This was a bit tricky because they have a decimal in our divisor. But you could just do the opposite of division, which is to say, how many of these fit into here? 0.1 is a dime, so 10 dimes will fit into $1. Okay, oftentimes people get confused with decimals. Think of your decimals like 0.1 as a dime, 0.25 as a quarter. Most of you would know that 2 quarters is 50 cents, which is 0.5. These little tricks can help you with money. Let's go on to number 3. So now we're in a situation where they're asking us to divide, and we're going to set our division question. 8.7 divided by 0.3. We learned that we cannot have a decimal place in our divisor, so we're simply going to move that decimal one place to the right and that decimal one place to the right, which means our question will now be 3 divided into 87 instead. 3 goes into 8 2 times. 3 times 2 is 6. Leaves us with 2. Bring down the 7. 3 goes into 27 9 times with no remainders. So the answer is 29. It is important to rewrite the question in the proper format. Again, math is about communicating the right answer, not getting the right answer. So 2.24 divided by 0.7. We need to move the decimal for the 0.7 one space to the right. So we're going to do that also one space to the right in our dividend. So we will have 22.4 divided by 7. 7 goes into 2 0 times. 7 goes into 22 3 times. 3 times 7 is 21. 22 minus 21 brings us with 1. Bring down the 4. There's the decimal in our division question. The decimal goes right above. That's where we know how to put it in terms of place, in terms of the answer. 7 goes into 14 2 times. So the answer is 3.2. And C, 10.3 divided by 0.6. We need to move the decimal one place to get it away in the divisor. So one place also in the dividend. So this question we will rewrite as being 6 divided into 103. 6 goes into 10, into 1 0 times, into 10 one time. Bring down the 4. Sorry, the 3. 6 goes into 43 7 times. 7 times 6 is 42. 1, we have a decimal place here. We could say remainder 1, or we could add a 0. 6 goes into 10 one time, and we will probably have some kind of repeating decimal. So in this case, the answer would be approximately 17.1. And question number 4. 10.92 divided by 0.6. Move the decimal over one place. So our answer now, our question now is 6 divided into 109.2. Take your time on your test to check and recheck that you're moving the same amount. That's a silly mistake that will cost you lots of marks. 6 goes into 10 one time. Bring down the 4, bring down the 9. 6 goes into 49 8 times. 8 times 6 is 48. The decimal in the dividend is here, so it goes right above it. We line all our numbers up. This is a review. You have to line all the numbers up, otherwise you don't know where the decimal goes. Bring down the 2, and we have 2. So the answer here will be 18.2. B, 30.42 divided by 1.3. We move the decimal one place, so the question will now be 304.2 divided by 13. If you want, so you don't forget, you can bring that decimal up right away. That's a trick some people do, so you don't forget. 13 goes into 3 0 times, into 32 times, which will be 26. Remainder 4, bring down the 4. 13 goes into 44 3 times, which is 39. And bring down the 2, and it goes 4 times evenly into 52. So the answer would be 23.4. And one more. 18.56 divided by 5.8. We move the decimal one place only, so it'll be 185.6 divided by 58. 58 goes into, we'll move the decimal up, 58 goes into 1 0 times, into 18 0 times, into 185, it's going to be 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24, carry the 2, 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 is 17, so we have 11, bring down the 6, 58 goes into 116 2 times, exactly. So the answer will be 3.2. Number 5. In this case, we want to divide, but they're also giving us the additional information to round the quotient to the nearest tenth. So we'll have to carry our answer to 2 decimal places to the nearest 100th so that we can round to the nearest tenth. So we have 172.5 divided by 2.6. We will rewrite that, moving the decimal over one place. So it's 26 divided into 1,725. 26 goes into 1 0 times, into 17 0 times, into 172. Get out my calculator. You guys will do this manually. If you had a question like this, it goes 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. Carry the 3. 6 times 2 is 12. 13, 14, 15. And we have 16 left over. 26 goes into 6. Well, we bring down the 5. It goes in 6 times. 26 goes in 6 times, which just like before was 156, which will leave us with 9. Now we have to add a decimal, because this number 1,725 has a decimal at the end. And you can add as many zeros as you want to that number. Every number has a decimal and then a bunch of zeros after it. So we put the decimal here because they told us the nearest tenth, so we have to carry it to 2 places. This first place is going to be the tenths, and then the second place will be the hundredths. We need the hundredths to determine what the tenths will be rounded to. So we bring down this 0. So 26 into 90, I believe it'll be 4. Nope, it'll be 3. So 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 1 is 7, so 78, which will be 12. Bring down a 0. 26 times 4 will work. 6 times 4 is 24. This will be 10. So we have our 2 decimal places. That's what we need. We don't have to keep going. It said we needed to round to the nearest tenth. This is the tenth. So 66.34, we look to the number decimal to the right of the one we want to round to. We say, is that over 5? Is it 5 or over? Or is it under 5? Because this is under 5, the 3 stays as a 3. So our answer would be 66.3. If this number here, the 4, was a 5 or higher, it would be 66.4. Let's do another one. 21.68 divided by 3.4 turns into 216.8 divided by 34, because we moved the decimal one place. 34 into 2 0 times, into 21 0 times, 6 times, it goes into 216. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 2 is 20. 16 minus 4 is going to be 12. We put our decimal here because it's all lined up. Bring down the 8. 34 goes into 128 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9. And we're going to keep adding zeros here as long as we need to go. 28 minus 2 is 26. Bring down another 0. 34 will go into 260. Let's try 7 times. Yep. And we don't even need to figure it out as long as that's correct. But we can figure it out. 7 times 4 is 28. We'll make sure we're right. 7 times 3 is 21. 22, 23. Yes, we are right because 60 minus 38 is 22. So our answer is 6.37. But we need to round to the nearest tenth. So we look to the number to the right of the tenths. Remember, this here is our tenth. Because this is above 5, or 5 or above, this turns into 6.4. So our answer would be 6.4. And we'll do the last one. 92.8 divided by 8.2 turns into 928 divided by 82. 82 goes in 0 times into 9, 1 time into 92, which leaves us with 10. Bring down the 8, goes in 1 time into 108, which will be 6, and then 2. Then we have to add, because we need more decimals here, so we have to add a couple more zeros. Bring down a 0. 82 into 260, that'll be 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 8 is 24. 60 minus 46 is 14. Bring down a 0. It'll go only 1 time into 40, so that's 82. And so this is our number, 11.31 is our answer. Because the 1 is below 5, our answer turns into 11.3. Okay, we're continuing with number 6. I want to point out one important thing in terms of rounding. You round your question to the number of decimals based upon how many decimals there are in your question. So in this case, you have one, it's rounded to 1 decimal place, so your answer should be rounded to 1. In this case, it's rounded to 1 and 2, so either 1 or 2 decimal places would be fine. But for both of these, you have to round to at least 1 decimal. So let's look at 6a, 7.3 divided by 0.4 changes into 73 divided by 4. 4 goes into 7 1 time, which is 4. Leaves us with 3. Bring down the 3. 33. 4 goes into 33 8 times, which is 32. Now we add a decimal, and we put the decimal above, and we add another couple zeros. Bring down 1 0. 4 goes into 10 2 times, which leaves us with 8. And 2 left over. Bring down the other 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times exactly. So it says round to the nearest tenth where necessary. So because this is a 5, we're going to round up to 18.3. That's A. For B, 1.98 divided by 1.3 changes into, we move the decimal one place, 19.8 divided by 13. 13 goes into 1 0 times, it goes into 19 one time. Bring our decimal up, pull down the 8. 13 goes into 68 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 1 plus 1 is 6. So 3, add another 0, bring it down. 13 goes into 32 times. So we have 1.52, which will round to 1.5. I'm going to skip ahead now to number 8. Alex finds a remnant. Remnant means a leftover piece of landscaping fabric at a garden store. The fabric is a standard width. They're not telling you what the width is, which means we don't care. The length is 9.7 meters. Alex needs 12 of these pieces. So again, if you don't know what to do, draw yourself a little diagram. Okay, we've got a piece. They're telling us our width is a standard width, so I'll just write S. And my length is going to be 9.7 meters for the whole thing. Any of us could just write that down if we're confused. He needs 12.85 pieces. 0.85 meters, 0.85 meters. So the question is a division question. How many 0.85 meter pieces can I fit into 9.7? This shows you that you could actually add. You could add and find out how many 0.85 pieces it takes to fit into 9.7. That would be the opposite in a way of division. But instead we're going to do it as a division question and do 9.7 divided by 0.85. Now this, unlike the other questions, has 2 decimal places in our divisor. So we need to move 2 places over. So in the dividend we move 1 and 2 places. When we move 2 places, we have to add a 0 here. So our question will be rewritten as 85 divided into 970. 85 goes into 9 0 times, goes into 97 one time. So there's 85. Subtract, we'll get 120. Bring down the 0. It goes into 120 one time as well. And there will be some decimal. We don't care at this point about the decimal. We needed to know how many pieces he's going to need. Or, well, it says she needs 12 pieces. So will she have enough? Will Alex have more fabric than she needs? Yes, she will have more fabric, because this is telling us that, oh no, she doesn't. She can only get 11 pieces. So she's short. It's not enough. I will double check my answer here. And yes, it looks like she's going to be short. So part B is, will Alex need more fabric? And the question is, how much? Well, we know Alex can get 11 pieces. So how much is 11 pieces going to be? Well, each piece is 0.85. So now we go back to multiplying. We know 11 pieces will work. So 11 times 0.85, which we did last section. 1 times 5 is 5. 5 times 1 is 5. Bring down a 0. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 1 is 8. Add up our 2 rows. We have 13. We have 9. We have 2 decimal places here, only on the bottom. So it's 9.35. So the 11 pieces that Alex can get out of this big piece will measure 9.35 meters. So to find out how much more she needs, we take the total, which was 9.7 meters. So the total length was 9.7 minus the 11 pieces, which total to 9.35 meters. And we subtract. So 9.50 minus 9.35 is 0.15 meters. So she will be short 0.15 meters in landscaping fabric. And let's go to number 10. The question 237 divided by 7 does not have an exact quotient, an exact answer. The first 5 digits of the quotient are these numbers here, 33857. The decimal point has been omitted. Use only this information, an estimation. Write an approximate quotient for each question and justify your answer. So we did this before already. We know that 237 divided by 7 is going to give us this. So 237 divided by 0.7 will also give us these digits. We just don't know where the decimal place goes. So we round these numbers here. So 237 is close to 200, and 0.7 is close to 1. So our answer will be close to 200. That's what this means. This doesn't tell us what the answer is, just gives us an idea of what it's going to be close to. So this number is 33,857. The closest number to that is going to be 338.57. And so this would be the answer. If we look at the other options would be 3,385.7. Well, that's not anywhere close to 200. Or what if we got smaller? What if we said it was 33.857? Well, that's nowhere near 200 either. So this is too small. This is way too big. 200 is clearly the closest here. A reminder again, we know the answer for 237 divided by 0.7 has to have these 5 digits, 33857, in that order. We just don't know where to put the decimal. Let's look at the next one. Well, 23.7 is close to 20, and 7 is close to, let's make it 10. So 20 divided by 10 is going to be 2. So looking at these numbers here, I would say 3.3857 is going to be the answer that is closest. The next number up, higher, would be 33. If I move the decimal 1 to the right, I get 33.857. Well, that's not close to 2. If I go smaller and I move the decimal to the left, I would get 0.33857. Well, that's not close to 2. Clearly, this one is the closest to 2. So the answer would be 3.3857. And finally, D. 2370 divided by 70. Well, 2370 is close to 2000. And let's divide it by 100, just like the other one in a way, which will give us 20. So the answer would be close to 20. So let's look at what my options are. 33857. So 33857. Well, definitely if I put the decimal here, that's going to be closest to 20. Okay, we wouldn't want to put it here because then it would be 3. That's way too small. If we put the decimal here, it's 338. That's way too big. And let's look at the next question. 12. Jack has 2.5 liters of juice. Each day he drinks 0.4 liters. How many days will it take him to drink the juice? Justify your answer. Well, that's a simple division question. He has 2.5 liters. He drinks 0.4 liters every day. We're going to change that to 4 into 25. 4 goes into 2 0 times, into 25 6 times. Put a decimal, add a 0, bring down the 0. 4 goes into 10 2 times, which will be 8. So it'll take him, actually the answer is 6.2. You can't have 0.2 of a day, so it will take him 7 days to finish the juice.